Today's podcast is brought to you by HLA Productions. Join the conversation on family law, true crime, and more with your host, me, Heavenlyleann Akers. Well, today's conversation should be quite interesting because we're going to be talking about Amazon. So, as some of you may be aware, I worked at Amazon, and let me tell you the interesting thing about that situation as I'm sitting here trying to get myself situated. So I was hired on at Amazon on May 30th of 2021. Yeah, 2021. And, for a while, my situation was very precarious. I thought, I just need this job so I can pay my attorney so that way I can, get my son back. And oh boy, okay. So I started night shift or graveyard shift, as some people like to say. And that was interesting because let me tell you, when it really comes down to it, working 10.5-hour shifts, yeah, no, it's not easy. And I'm sure that people do it all the time. And that's just kind of, how it is. But for me, I went from an 8-hour shift working, basically Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then going over to Amazon. And it was interesting. It was from 6:30 to 5 a.m. in the morning. And for the most part, I have some pretty good memories about Amazon. There was never a dull moment, and at first I thought drama-free atmosphere because you're not dealing with customers and usually everybody kind of sticks to themselves. And because you're so busy, you really don't have time to talk, regardless if that means that you're in pack, pick, or stow. There's all different kinds of stations that are at Amazon. And my expertise at Amazon, when I first started out, I was a packer. So I was the one folding the boxes, putting items in it, scanning them, and shipping them out. So if you had ever ordered anything between 2021 and 2022, because, I was there until 2023, but if you had ordered anything within that time span, I may have or may have not have been the one that had packed your item. And, right now, currently my husband, which is Daniel, he works at Amazon, and I hear about it every single day. But I want to get into the whole nitty gritty about it because I know a lot of people have a lot of questions about Amazon. If you currently work at Amazon right now, then you probably know about what I'm about to talk about. But here's the thing about this situation, right? Is I got myself into a lot of different situations at Amazon. And one of them I am very proud of. I became the president of Glamazon, which is our LGBT affinity group at Amazon. And I became I was the chairman, spokesperson, and then I became the president. And as a result, we were doing drag shows at Amazon. And somebody that I will leave unnamed, which is an HR member, which, he's a great person. He's nice. I feel like he may have had some alternative motives of his own for his own career and may have used the community to benefit, which that's purely speculation. And, if he happens to be listening to this, just be aware, I enjoyed my time working with you. However, I am extremely disappointed because I literally tried to keep a very, very professional relationship with you. And instead, I was met with, I'm above you, you're below me, stay in your corner, I'm going to stay over here. And a lot of gatekeeping, which may or may not be true, but a lot of other higher ups were, and what I mean by higher up is like managers and seniors were telling me otherwise. So my situation with that was very interesting because, I loved working at Amazon. And, I got injured a couple of times while I was working at Amazon because the job is very labor intensive. And that's just how it goes, you're literally lifting all the time, if not holding heavy objects or walking for, thousands and thousands of feet, because those buildings, you are walking basically football size field buildings. Like they're huge, and some of them have anywhere from 3 to 4 stories in them, and they're all built differently. Some of them are XL buildings, meaning like large objects, and what I mean by large objects is couches, furniture, etc. And then there's your run-of-the-mill building, which is the one that I was working at, which had 3 floors in it, or no, 4 floors. And they had the robotics floors, which were the 3 floors upstairs, and then your downstairs floor, which was your outbound. And then you had your inbound and outbound. Your inbound is everything that would come in from the shipping dock with all the trucks, and it would be unpackaged, scanned into the system, and then it would be sent upstairs. And then upstairs, the stowers would take the items and put them into what they call pods. And these are basically robots on wheels with giant shelves on them. And those items get basically dispersed through the building. And then they go to the pickers. And the pickers, they will pick the items, put them in totes, and the totes go downstairs on a large conveyor belt system. And then they go to the sorters. The sorters sort them out into individual trays. Those trays go to the rebinners, which bin them into these large metal walls into individual boxes and slots. And then the pickers will pick them out from the other side and then scan them, pack them, and then fold them up, tape them, and then put them onto a conveyor belt that goes to basically the giant labeling machine, essentially. I can't remember the name of it. But anyways, it goes up there and then it goes out to ship dock. And then ship dock, they organize it, do whatever they got to do with it. And then eventually it ends up on a truck. But another department that I was in was something called ICQA. And this is basically building quality. And essentially, we are held responsible by the building and by federal law to make sure that every item is accounted for, because God forbid, if the building were to burn down, you don't want to commit insurance fraud, because the insurance company is going to want to know how much product you had in the building, and etc. Well, in my situation, because I worked next to a lot of the higher ups, not particularly too close to the GM, which is basically like the general building manager, but a lot of the seniors and some other situations. Now, when we really start to think about it, right? So Amazon has some very, very, very precarious history, especially when it comes to unfair labor practices. And I'll tell you this right now. Oh, yeah. They spent no time doing that to me at all. I mean, everywhere from, taking your unpaid time, which if you're considering working at Amazon and you have children, don't do it. Like, it's a nightmare. It is a nightmare. If you have a custody battle and you have to be somewhere at a certain time to pick up your kid and do X, Y, and Z, or God forbid, your kid is sick, Amazon does not care. They will say that they care, but keep this in mind, that is all marketing. That is how they get people in the door. That is what they say to the general population. And I will tell you this right now, when it comes to HR, which is now known as PXT, they're only there to protect the company and the company's best interests. They do not, they don't care. They literally do not care. And it's pretty obvious. In the time that I was there, now, and you're probably wondering, well, hey, Heavenly, why is it that you don't work there? Well, so while I was there, I ended up in a situation, and I can hear myself breathing on the microphone, and it doesn't sound nice. Sorry about that. So I was sitting there, and I had ended up getting injured during Pride Month in the month of June. And I was in Oklahoma City with our Glamazon team in Oklahoma City for OKC1. And I ended up basically falling and hurting myself as a result. And I hurt my wrist. So when you have a bum wrist at Amazon, good luck trying to do anything because it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. So I turned around and I filed for an accommodation just for the time period because my doctor was like, you literally cannot use this wrist. If you do, we're going to have to do surgery. Like, you just can't. And I was like, that's nice. That's great. Okay. And it just so happens to be my dominant hand, which is the hand that I use to do makeup and stuff. So to be told like, hey, your hand will consistently have pain in it for quite some time and it could be permanent. Yeah, that it sucks. So I filed for an accommodation and I got approved. So I was working at the accommodations desk with everybody else, including, the lovely ladies that were pregnant that were accommodated there. And, to my surprise, it wasn't too bad. Like, they ended up giving me like a computer. They were letting me work on projects as far as like editing images, promoting stuff. Like, we had trunk or treat for the kids. We have family day event. So like, you have like Amazon does like a petting zoo, bouncy houses. You name it, they do it. And what do you expect? It's a $4.2 trillion company. They're going to, they can do it. And so, so they do this stuff for their associates because they are trying to build, morale. They're trying to, again, publicize that they are a great company to work for, and etc. And as you can probably hear the sarcasm in my voice. But so, and they had me working on all of this stuff, which I was entirely grateful for because that was everything that I live for. That's everything that I love to do. You guys are very aware of this. Like, I love to do anything, even if it's making like a very, very cheap, really badly budgeted film, like He's Still in the Horror Flick Returns, and also doing, just makeup videos or etc. I try my best to try to make everything as high quality as possible, but I'm not by any means perfect. I'm still in some ways trying to find my niche for everything, but I'm multi-talented. So there's things that I love to do. I digest knowledge pretty well and then just kind of go with it. And then I learned more on the way. So Amazon kind of was aware of that. Like, I didn't really walk in there and say, oh, hey, I do X, Y, and Z outside of work. No, they realized that I had, because I was voicing my opinion. It was like, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Why don't we, and they were just like, you know what? This person has a lot of great ideas. Why don't we, see what they want to do? And they put me in a situation that I really enjoyed. I really, really loved it. But here's the thing, is you notice I was only there for 3 years, right? Well, it's very common. It's very common that associates only ever work at Amazon for about 3 years, unless you're higher up. And with my situation, I was accommodated. And then one day I get a call from the accommodations team and investigation team. And they tell me that somebody has opened an investigation on fraudulent medical documents. Okay, fraudulent medical documents. And this was like pretty much the same conversation I had with my attorney. And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, what are you talking about? Fraudulent medical documents? This is insane. There's no way I would do something like that. That is ridiculous. Because here's the thing. One, I'm not that stupid because I understand like the consequences for that crap. And now, because I'm so well, in a way, organized, like I'm not going to toot my own horn or anything, but like I like to be really organized, okay? Like my files are really well organized. And so every single time I went to the doctor, I would get an update from the doctor, I would scan it, and then I would save it to a document on my computer, which was also connected to my phone. So every time I went, I always had documentation of everything. So I always made sure to scan it in my car with like my phone or whatever, like even like taking a picture of it, but you can use like notes to scan a document, turn it into a PDF and save it. And I would put everything into this file that was like Amazon accommodations file, whatever. And I'm shuffling through all of my documents, and I sort it by newest to oldest. And I'm like, well, there's the document that they're talking about. So I went ahead, I got it, I uploaded it and emailed it to them. And they told me, well, we need you to go to your doctor because we called your doctor and your doctor said that you were never there on the date of this document. So we have come to believe that it may be fraudulent. So I was like, oh, okay. So I called my doctor's office, made an emergency appointment, went there that very day. Keep in mind, all of this that happened over the phone and through email and stuff, all happened while I was on the clock at work. Okay. And technically they have to do that because I get paid regardless, because the way that they do stuff, if it has anything to do with Amazon, they pay you. So they would rather you be on the clock instead of off the clock. So they have to pay you extra for that time. So I, clocked out early and went down to my doctor's office, and I was like, so my job called me and said that this document that I'm showing you is false and that it's fraudulent. My doctor, I believe you not, okay, tells me that Amazon, or nobody referring to Amazon or to me, has called the office at all. And I was sitting there at that point baffled. So I called the accommodations team and the investigation team. And I said, hey, so I'm sitting here at the doctor's office right now, and they're saying that you guys never called. Oh, but then suddenly the story changes. So we need a document stating that you were there on that day. Okay, well, I did send you that document. That document is insufficient. Interesting. So I turn around and I'm like, okay, well, at this point, they're just trying to get me fired. They're basically done with me. I've done my 10-year whatever, and they want me out. They're done. And I just remember looking at the doctor going, I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do. And he said, well, I'm going to write you another document stating that you were here on that day and that you are still currently under accommodations and that you need to remain under accommodations until either I release you or the orthopedic surgeon releases you. And I just kind of sat there and was like, oh, okay. So I took that document, I uploaded it, I sent it to him. Still didn't matter. They then tell me the next day, so you can either resign and you could be rehirable, or we fire you and you will no longer be rehirable. So, much to your surprise, obviously I reached out to my friend, which is an attorney, and because she really only practices family law and not anything to do with the employer, she didn't really have much to say other than like, oh, I don't know what to tell you. And so I kind of sat there and was like, well, if I let them fire me, I guess I can just do unemployment until I get another job. Or I fire myself, go get another job, and then in a couple of months I could go back. Well, then you'd probably be asking, oh God, well, Heavenly, why would you want to go back after they just did that to you? Well, the reason why I wanted to go back was because, I had a lot of great friendships there. I really loved the fast-paced culture that they have and the ability to express yourself in a very safe environment, because regardless of whatever laws are being passed against trans people or LGBT members, Amazon is private property and they believe in DEI, which was another program that I was a part of. And it's diversity, equity, and inclusion. And, I enjoyed that program. And really, honestly, it wasn't hurtful to nobody. Like, if anything, that program improved people's ability to just understand more about things that were different. You know, women's rights, you know, in the fact, it's like, you know, in a regular work atmosphere where DEI doesn't exist, women are underpaid, or they're not as promoted as they should be. With a DEI program like at Amazon, women are promoted not based on gender or work, but because it's not even saying like, oh, it's deserving. It's just, if you apply and if you fit the standards, it doesn't matter if you're male, female, black, white, gay, whatever. We're going to put you in that role if you fit what we're asking for. And, you know, that's just how it was. It wasn't no cherry picking. It wasn't favoritism. It wasn't, you know, well, and we all know, you know, hey, I digress. Favoritism at Amazon with tier ones are your run-of-the-mill associates, okay? They're just your AAs, Amazon associates. Your L3s and up, your L3s are PAs. So they are, I think it's like process assistants, blah. And then there's your AMs, your area managers. Area managers are usually your L4s and up. And then the other ones are like seniors, cap managers, and etc. And yeah, there's favoritisms and there's scandals, like beyond scandals, like, you know, area managers sleeping with tier ones, you know, oh boy, I've got stories. I've got so many stories. And if you want to hear some of those stories, you're more than welcome to ask for it. I don't ever plan on working at Amazon ever again. In fact, my husband is actively trying to leave Amazon as we speak. Like he is fed up with that environment. However, I do still miss some of the people that I worked with. If you are one of those people that I worked with up there at Amazon, just know I miss your face. I miss your company. I miss our talks. It's, you know, it was great. So, and I wish you the very best if you're still up there. If you are not there, good for you. Because believe me, in the 3 years that I was there, I can't count on all fingers and toes how many times I wanted to leave. There's so much stuff that happened up there. And I can tell you right now, and probably in a later on podcast, if we talk about this again, you know, Daniel will probably come on and we'll sit and we'll talk about it because, oh, Daniel is so unfiltered and he has some stuff to talk about. But it's wise that we probably wait until he's no longer working there because Amazon doesn't like being talked about by other people. But I have freedom of speech. So it's just how it is. So anyways, if you enjoyed today's podcast, please make sure to like and subscribe and follow me on Apple Podcasts if you haven't gotten the chance. Other than that, I hope to see you in the next episode, which will obviously come out relatively soon. So other than that, I'll talk to you later. Ta-ta.